Derek O'Brien, leader of the Trinamool's parliamentary party in the Rajya Sabha, joining us exclusively on NDTV this evening. Derek O'Brien, quite a surprise announcement there. What happened?
Well, the question of voting for the BJP's candidate did not arise. So that is never an option. So our party just had, we actually only had two options. One is we don't get involved in this, or two is we support this candidate which was cooked up by some folks in Delhi. We were given 7 minutes notice or 10 minutes notice, and you popped up with a name and you expect us to support the name. So we want opposition unity, but the largest opposition party and the communists, especially one communist leader who works overtime in Delhi, because it seems he has lots of time to work overtime. You can't cook up names and then expect us and take us for granted. Treat us as equals. We'll be working together from Monday on the floor of Parliament. Treat us as equals. Don't take Trinamool for granted. We didn't like that, the way the whole thing was handled. And the question of voting for the BJP's candidate, that was never on the table.
But I don't understand, because, Sharad Pawar had called this meeting. It had been known for a few days that the meeting would be there. So how was this a last minute thing? Why weren't you at the meeting?
I don't want to, on national television, talk too much about what happens in the back channels, because that wouldn't be correct. Okay, but bottom line is that you call a meeting, you pop up with a name, everybody, then you're told, we're having a press conference in 15 minutes. Okay, I want to be a little blunt about this. Trinamool Congress in the 2021 Bengal elections, that's the context. We took on the Congress and the CPM as an alliance. A. B. There are a few parties in Delhi, there are a few parties around the country, and I will mention them, like the DMK, like the NCP, like the JMM, like the RJD, who are electoral allies with the Congress party. Please draw a distinction between the TMC and these parties, who we work together with very often. So there's a difference here between like-minded parties. Of course, we are all like-minded parties who oppose the divisive, bigoted ideology of the BJP, but not all like-minded parties are allies of the Congress party.
So you're miffed with the Congress? Is this about being, are you all miffed with the Congress then? Is this about being unhappy with them?
You see, this is not a fight between a spouse where you say you're miffed with someone or you're not miffed with someone. This is serious. That's why I think for the first time since Abhishek Banerjee has been elected the National General Secretary, and we have one National General Secretary, what was significant today, obviously the day was very significant. 21st July is our annual Martyrs Day, where we commemorate the memory of 13 martyrs who died. Abhishek Banerjee and himself, no parliamentary party leader or spokesperson, he himself did this press conference. We debated this in our parliamentary meeting with our 35 MPs. The chairperson of our parliamentary party was there. This is a call which we took. And I think we need to find the opposition, especially the Congress party, need to find the way forward where we need to find issues. You cannot,
But you're squabbling. I mean, what does that say about opposition unity? I mean, it's actually a joke, isn't it? I mean, there's so much disunity. You're all fighting amongst each other. What does that say about the state of the opposition? How will you all get together to take on the BJP in 2024?
I think the opposition has to get together. When we talk about opposition unity, please let us start with the elections of May 2021. What opposition unity? When Mamata Banerjee, in an election to be elected the third time Chief Minister of West Bengal, what opposition unity were we talking about? where the Congress, the CPM, and even the BJP on the ground were in cahoots against TMC. TMC is all for opposition unity. TMC needs no certificate about how ideologically we are opposed to the BJP. But there is a message which needs to be given. Please, we are not ready to be taken for granted. You can't have quick. We tried for opposition unity. Let me, Ms. Razdan, if I may say so. We tried for opposition unity. Who called the meeting for the president election? We had the president candidate. I don't want to say too much on television because back channels. Otherwise, you know, there's a certain what is said in the back room often is said in the back room stays in the back room. Mamata Banerjee made every effort for opposition unity for the presidential election. Then we saw what happened there. So the vice president election is again half an hour, 15 minutes, one name popped up. We have nothing personal against any of the vice president.
Derek O'Brien, come on. Even in the meeting that Mamata Banerjee called, names were given. I mean, okay, Sharad Pawar's name was the name that was first proposed, but the names that came later were in the course of that meeting that was suggested to other parties. What's the big deal?
Please understand. I think you need to understand this. Why did Mamata Banerjee call that meeting? Who was the name which was already pre-selected for the meeting? Who requested Mamata Banerjee to call that meeting in Delhi? I shall leave these questions unanswered. Let's get back after that from the presidential election to the vice presidential election. Where did the name pop up of a former congresswoman or a governor or a minister? We're not getting into the merits of the name or the demerits of the name. We are getting into the opposition has to be united. The second largest opposition party today in parliament in the country, at the moment we are the second largest. We've got to give a clear message to the Congress party who have a style of working with the communists and their allies. We will get the opposition unity going. Treat us as equal partners. That's the way forward. Listen, this vice president election in any case is a foregone conclusion. The gentlemen who the BJP have put up, let's not get, I mean, I can do another half an hour program on that, but no. Ideologically, Trinamool needs no certificate from anybody saying, you know, BJP. BJP ideology, we are fighting the Trinamool. We think we have the best chance. I can also talk about opposition unity in a couple of other states where we reached out. So I think let us be optimistic. Let us find issues, common issues.
Okay, at the moment, the battle lines are drawn within the opposition camp itself very clearly. It's going to be interesting.
There's no battle lines. You tell me, if you are given on a WhatsApp 15 minutes notice saying name of the candidate is decided, who is the name? Oh, that's the name.
Is that why you all didn't attend the Congress's meeting on the ED today, the opposition meeting?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that. You know, it has to be two-way traffic. The whole mentality of the grand old party, and we want to work with the grand old party to try and we got to get the BJP out. But the grand old party, when ED, do you know National General Secretary of Trinamool Congress, how many times he's been called to by ED? Has anybody in the Congress party or any other Congress party reached out or even put out one tweet? So it has to work both ways. You want to call everybody to your room in parliament. I'm saying this on record in your program. No, you can call your allies. You cannot call political parties. We are like-minded parties. But like-minded parties have to be treated, who are independent parties. I think the other example on this, I'll give you one other example, who don't ally with the Congress, at least not till now, the TRS, the Aam Aadmi Party, the TMC. We are not allies of the Congress. So that is the only reason we have to look at it differently.
The TRS attended today's Congress meeting, ironically, and you all didn't, but you have a point that you have faced ED cases as well. Abhishek Banerjee has been at the receiving end. The Congress hasn't exactly stood up for other opposition leaders who faced the ED's action and expect support in return. So that's important.
One point.
Last point. Yeah.
Yes, sure. 1 point on TRS. Okay. TRS is now in the last few weeks or months we're seeing, and we welcome and we're very happy that they're strongly opposing the Modi government and their decisions. Please look at the track record of TRS in the last few years. It has been more closer to the government. I think I want to take this opportunity on your program, since you're discussing the opposition. I think the political pundits and the journalists also have to know, the enabler of the BJP is a regional party, the biggest enabler of the BJP. And nobody discusses them. They are above any discussion. Nor do they discuss the chief minister. Mr. Naveen Patnaik and the Biju Janata Dal are India's #1 enabling party to execute the bigoted, divisive agenda of the BJP. I would humbly suggest to everyone, while you're thinking, this is not just about Congress, TMC, opposition unity. Get the BJD and their spokespersons to come on television and ask them the direct question. They are the biggest allies of the BJP, and then Mr. Naveen Patnaik will go and take pretty pictures somewhere in the Vatican. Won't do. If you want to fight the BJP, come and fight the BJP inside Parliament and outside Parliament. And television channels are spending so much of time on opposition unity. Call out the two official allies. One is official, the other is unofficial. Biju Janata Dal, Naveen Patnaik is an official ally of the BJP. And number two, they're not official, they're unofficial, mostly, is Jagan Reddy's YSR.
Okay, well, so there goes any hope over getting them on board in the opposition camp. Yeah, you're right. They're not fence sitters. Certainly, you've been very blunt today, Derek O'Brien, in your full attack on the Congress and other parties as well. Thanks very much for joining us.
What is other parties, Nidhi? I first attacked the BJP. We have only attacked the BJP.
But by the way, I meant to ask you, Mamta Banerjee met Mr. Dhankar. And apart from asking her for support, what was that conversation like?
Asking her for support? We are not supporting Mr. Dhankar.
I mean, he asked, you may not do it. So what was that conversation like?
Yeah, the governor of a state, has tea and biscuits with the chief minister. I mean, everything is not some complicated. The governor of the state had tea and biscuits with the chief minister. Yeah, and don't read too much into tea and biscuits. Don't read too much into tea and biscuits. I think you'll see the proof of the pudding when the new vice president also will become the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And then...
Well, good luck to you then. All that talk of pudding and biscuits. All right, Derek O'Brien, thank you very much for joining us on NDTV today.
Always.
Thank you.